You know, you have some days where not much happens, but yet, if you listen, life still speaks. This last week, I've been laid up with a sinus infection, still feel like crap, but didn't do much of anything. Just laid on the couch, took a lot of naps, putzed around on the computer just a little bit. But even in the fog of doing nothing, there were still some little moments that stood out. And it reminded me that even when we're doing nothing, life still puts little lessons out in front of us if we're paying attention. The first one came from Hank and Knox, the two grandsons that live near us that we take to and from school a lot of days. And my wife was doing the delivery service since I was kind of laid up. And so Knox is getting to that stage where he's a little whiny about going into kindergarten. Really doesn't want to do it, although he has a great time when he's there. And so my wife was telling me that Monday morning, the whole way walking into school, Hank was dragging Knox by the hand, giving him the same pep talk the whole way up there. The same pep talk that I gave Hank last year, telling him about, oh, it's not so bad. Once you get started, you'll be all right. And I just sat there listening to her describing this whole scene, thinking to myself, you know, you never know what words you say are going to stick with them. But somewhere along the way, those little words, those little seeds that we plant take root, and they blossom into something pretty beautiful and pretty cool. And the second moment wasn't quite so heartwarming. I was up early, couldn't sleep good, sitting at the computer trying to do something when I heard this big crunch from outside. And so I took a peek and here somebody in the neighborhood in a pickup truck had smacked right into the back of a car parked on the street out in front of our neighbor's house. Luckily, nobody was hurt or anything, but I called up my security camera footage later and, you know, here the guy comes around the corner and, you know, the sun's shining right straight in, you know, to his eyes, and it looks like he's looking down at something in the seat and plows right into this car. Luckily, he stopped, and like I say, luckily nobody was hurt, but just reminded me again that, man, you just cannot be too careful when you're driving. It does not pay to be in a hurry or to be in a rush. You just got to relax and take your time and not let yourself get hurried. Because just 1 second of a lapse, you know, could lead to something awful. In this case, it was just, you know, a car sitting there, but it could just as easily have been a couple people walking to get into that car that, you know, would have got caught in the way of it. So a little scary when you think about it. So yeah, it was a very uneventful week, but maybe that's the point. You know, it's not always glamour and excitement. And even in the quiet seasons, life still speaks. There's still lessons to be learned if you're paying attention. So this week's lesson I learned was, you know, rest when you need to, you know. When life speaks, you listen. The words you've said in the past may come back for good or ill and to come back around to you. In this case, it was good. And always drive like somebody else's life depends on it, because it does. So, like I say, not much tonight, but thanks for spending a few quiet minutes with me. If you've got some little lessons you've learned along the way that snuck up on you, I'd love to hear about them in the comments. But otherwise, this is Opa's Evening Review. Hoping you have a great weekend. Thanks a lot.